Tutorial, we will go through the process for verifying your registration, just to double check things and show you some reports that are very helpful in verifying and double checking all of your registration. From this main menu page here, if you click on Verify Registration, you'll see this menu here that gives you some options for checking various things. This Check Registration button here, if you click that, it will give you a celebration page if it sees that everything that it checks for. So it checks for a lot of different common mistakes and errors that are made in registration. And if it doesn't see any issues with those, it will give you this celebration page showing that everything looks good. It's a good idea to try that periodically through your process of registering, just to make sure you've got everybody registered right. One thing that it will that it checks for that you may see through the registration process is a shortage of judges. If you have, it will show you any of the events that you are low on the judging participation for those events, so you can go back and add some adults to those events to get that taken care of. But that report will always show you any errors that it sees in your registration process. For the Verify Pre-Convention events, if you have any of your students or adults that are participating in any of the year-round events that are listed here, their names, they need to have a verification done of their registration. There's a two-step registration process for these events. So after they've been registered on their information page, you have to come back to this section of the registration to check their names and save that in order to do that second step of the verification and of the registration. So if you have anyone that is registered for any of these events that are not verified, their name will show up under this list, under the heading of each one. You just simply check the box beside their name and then hit Save Changes when you're complete. For anyone that was originally registered for these events that are not participating in it after all, they're not going to complete the requirements, be sure to deregister them from those events rather than just leaving them unverified. If they're not going to complete them, please do deregister them from those events. For determining the amount that is owed for registration, you have two different ways to get to your financial recap. One is here on this page. If you click Financial Recap Report, it will show you a breakdown of your registration to show how much is owed in total. It will include t-shirt fees, any other fees that relate to materials or things like that. So all of that will be detailed here on this report. You can also access this report back from the main menu page. If you click How Much Do We Owe, it will show you the same report as well. And you can always click Done and go back to the main menu page. Some other very helpful tools. There are a lot of reports that are built into the system to help you verify and double check all of your registration. If you go to View Reports, a couple of the most helpful reports for double checking and verifying registration for everyone is the Adult Event and Judging Report. If you just click the blue link here, it will show you all of your adults that are registered and what they're registered for, any of the events that they are participating in. For adults, it'll show the events they're judging and show you all the details of that registration for each person. And then for students, it works the same way. When you have students registered, it will list those. It's a good idea to print those, go around to the parents and or students and have them double check everything and sign off that those are accurate, and double check everything. If you do that prior to the registration deadline, it will make life much easier for everyone and limit the changes that have to be made after registration is closed. So be sure to run those reports and double check everything and make sure it all looks good. Across through the other tabs here, there are different reports that you can run. If you're curious about other churches that are attending the same convention you're at, especially for those that have multiple colors, you can click this Convention Groups report, and it'll give you a list of all the churches at your convention site. If you need to double check specific events within your group to make sure everyone's registered for those, you can click on the different categories here and run the specific reports for those events. In all of these, the blue is just a report that will show you a list of those participants, and Most of the other buttons that are there really don't apply to the groups. They're more helpful and useful for the Latch Leaders National Office and the event coordinators when you're dealing with a larger group of participants. So just look at these blue buttons here to look through and see who you have registered as participants in those different categories. For Art Says It, for example, or Bartimaeus, you can look at the different ones as well, and so forth across all of the events. If you want to look and see, get a report for all of the t-shirts you have, and make sure you're going to give them out to the right people. The t-shirt order detail will show you a list of all the names and the sizes that they're registered for. So that'll be something good to have to bring with you to convention. So those are a few of the reports that are going to be very handy to use in verifying your registration and double checking everything. One of the things we'll show here is this test materials button. When it's time for testing for Pearls and Bible Bowl, you will access those answer sheets and tests through the registration portal here by clicking on test materials, and it will take you to a separate page that will be active at that time. The links will be active at that time here for the different tests and the answer sheets, the instruction sheets on mailing the answer sheets back. All of that information will be here, and they'll be active in early February and ready for you to access to give those tests to your kids. Back to the main registration menu. We will close out this tutorial and be ready to do the next one on mass media. Thanks.